lesson. So we've already discussed about definition of demand, features of demand, what are the factors that affect the demand of the commodity, demand function, law of demand, definition, and the assumptions that are necessary for law of demand to stand, what a demand schedule is, and what a demand curve is. Now, in continuation to our previous learning, we know what a demand curve is. It is a graphical representation of demand function. Now, in the figure, we see that there's a demand schedule for the quantity of wheat that is demanded in kg for 1 month, for every month actually. So you see that there is with the increase in price, we see there is the fall in the quantity that has been demanded. So when we present it in the graph, it is something like this. So what we see is the x-axis constitutes the independent variable. When I say independent variable, it actually means the price, because we do not have control over the price of the commodities. It is independent. So if the price increases, now whether you buy more of a commodity or less of a commodity, it actually depends upon this factor. So it is an independent factor, whereas your quantity is dependent on the price of the commodity. So your quantity is your dependent factor, whereas your price is the independent variable. Now quantity is dependent on the price. What quantity you're going to purchase depends upon the price of the commodity. Now if we see the demand curve, it is actually downward sloping. So as the consumption is decreasing, we see that there is an increase in the price. So with increase in price, the consumption that we've made it's decreasing. So this stands the law of demand. So according to the demand curve, we can say that the slope of the demand curve is downward, and it shifts towards the right, and it is negatively sloped. So that means with the increase in price, the quantity that we are demanding is moving towards negative. So once it reaches zero, that means you've actually stopped consuming that particular product and you have switched on to some other product or some other similar product. So this is how the demand curve is. This is the characteristic, or you can say this is how your demand curve should look like. Now moving on, what are the reasons that our demand curve is sloping downward? What are the reasons behind this? What are the factors which are actually affecting this demand curve to slope downward? So we'll read about it in the next slide. Law of diminishing marginal utility. Now these are the reasons behind the downward slope of the demand curve. What is law of diminishing marginal utility? Now this law was actually formulated by Marshall, and it states that as the consumer consumes more and more of a commodity, of a good, then the marginal utility to him goes on declining. Now what is a marginal utility? I have also explained this earlier, that a utility is the expected satisfaction that a consumer derives from a particular commodity. Now total utility is the total or the aggregate utility or the aggregate level of satisfaction that a consumer gets on consumption of a particular commodity. So what is a marginal utility? So marginal utility is the change in the utility as the consumer consumes an addition unit of the commodity. Like for example, if I say, like if a consumer does not consume a tea, every day he doesn't consume a single cup of tea, so his total utility remains 0. Now as he starts consumption by 1 unit, his total utility increases to 8. So the total utility or the total level of satisfaction that he gets from the consumption of 1 cup of tea is 8. Now what is the marginal utility? So initially the total utility was 0. Since the consumption has been increased by 1 unit, so the total utility have become 8. So 8 minus 0 becomes 8. So this is the marginal utility. Now, as he increases his consumption by 2 cups, his total utility becomes 14. So initially when he was consuming 1 cup, his total utility was 8, but now it has become to 14 as he consumes 2 cups. So the change or the increase with the additional utility is 6. Now similarly, as he consumes 3 cups, his total utility becomes 19 and his marginal utility turns 5, as 19 minus 14 is 5, and it goes on this way. Now if you see the utility schedule, we see that there is a continuous increase in the total utility curve. Now in comparison to total utility data, we see that there is a continuous increase, but simultaneously we can also see that the marginal utility is continuously falling. That means with the increase in total utility, our marginal utility continues to fall, because as we consume more and more, our satisfaction or our we actually tend to become bored of that particular commodity, and it keeps on falling. Now once the total utility means the point where we stop consuming that particular product, our marginal utility becomes 0, or when we tend to switch to some other commodity, our marginal utility becomes 0. Now if you see the curve, I've tried to show you what actually happens. So when the person had started consumption from 0 cups, now when he started 1 cup, the total utility was 8. So it has started to increase at a decreasing rate, and then it reaches a saturation point where the person has actually stopped consuming, or when the person has reached the maximum point. After that, there is no more increase in the consumption of cups or cups of tea that he was using. Now in continuation with the total utility curve, we see as the total utility curve is increasing, there is a continuous fall in the marginal utility. So we can say that as the total utility curve increases, the marginal utility keeps on falling. When total utility curve reaches the saturation or the maximum point, our marginal utility becomes 0. So this is the decrease in the marginal utility, or the decrease or continuous fall in the marginal utility, such that when the marginal utility becomes 0, this is how the law of diminishing marginal utility is explained. So this is one of the reasons for the downward slope of the demand curve. So the second reason behind the downward slope of the demand curve is the substitution effect. The substitution effect is that any change in the price of the good that you were initially buying, like for example, if we consider you're buying a commodity whose price has been increased. Now because of the increase in price, now according to the law of demand, we know that the demand for that particular commodity should fall. Now when the demand of the commodity fall, what happens is you tend to buy a similar or a related commodity which is available to you at a lower price. Now if you are buying a commodity X and its price has been increased, you buy a similar commodity, for example say commodity Y, now which is available to you at a cheaper rate, now at a lesser price than what commodity X is being offered to you. So you tend to buy the commodity Y instead of commodity X. So this is actually the substitution effect, because of the fall or because of the rise in the price of the commodity X, you have switched your choice, or you've switched over from commodity X to commodity Y, considering your income, which is actually you feel that it is feasible enough to buy the same stock or the same amount of quantity that you were initially buying. Next is your income effect. Income effect is defined as any change in the optimal quantity of a good when the purchasing power changes consequent upon change in the price of the good. Like for example, if you are using a particular product, like let us continue with commodity X. Now if the price of the commodity X decreases, now for example for 100 rupees, if you were using 10 units, that means the cost of each unit that you are buying is rupees 10. Now that means the total amount you were spending was 100. Now, since the price of the commodity X has fallen down or its price has been decreased, what happens is you can buy more of the commodity X. Now, initially you were buying 10 units. Now you can most probably buy 15 units or more 20 units. So what happened is your purchasing power has increased. So this is your income effect. Like with the fall in the price of the good, you are capable of buying more of that commodity. Third is new consumers creating demand. Now what happens is as the price of a commodity falls, new consumer class appears who can now afford the commodity. Now there are goods which are very expensive. When the price of those goods fall, what happens is there are group or there are sections of people who are now capable or whose salary is now capable enough to buy those goods which they could not buy earlier. So this fall in the price of the commodity creates demand for those goods which the so sections or the society of people who could not buy initially, now because of the price of those commodities has fallen, so they can buy those goods now. So this is all about the downward slope or the reasons for the downward slope of the demand curve. Now, what are the exceptions to the law of demand? What are the cases where the law of demand does not stand? Now, when I say exceptions to the law of demand, that means law of demand actually stated that with the increase in the price of the good, there is the fall in the quantity demand of that particular good. Now, with the exceptions to this will be with the increase in price, the demand will also increase. So this will be the exception to the law of demand. Now, what are the cases where we see there is a direct relationship between the price and the commodity? So first is the Giffen goods. Giffen goods was named after Sir Robert Giffen. These goods are necessarily your inferior goods which are actually purchased by the low-paid wage earners who spend a large portion of their income in buying those goods. So these goods are actually goods like jowar or bajra, which are available, or the pulses that we see in the market, which are sold at a very cheaper rate, and if there is a continuous fall in the price, people with the fall in price, there is a tendency in the people to regard them as an inferior good, or the quality of those goods are not available. The goods are not of a very good quality, so people usually avoid buying those goods. But these goods are bought by the poor sections of the society. So these goods are your given goods. If there is a continuous fall in the price of these goods, it creates a negative impact. So people do not tend to buy these goods. These are usually purchased by the sections of people who cannot afford better quality goods. So these are your given goods. Second is your Veblen goods. So Veblen goods are also called the goods of status. As the name suggests, these are named after Sir Thorsten Veblen, and these are also called the Veblen goods. Now, these are basically your prestigious goods, the goods that actually promote your social prestige, or it creates it gives you a stature in the society where you're owning such expensive items. This can be your luxury cars or any luxury items that you see around. So diamonds and precious stones are some of those Veblen goods. With the increase in price, there is more demand for them. These are basically like Giffen goods we discussed. These were for the lower sections of the society, whereas Veblen goods are for the higher society, or the people whose income is basically higher than the normal income of the people in the country. Third is the expectation of price rise in future. Expectation of price rise in future, where we expect that there is going to be an increase in the price. So when we see that there is going to be an increase, we tend to buy more of such product. For example, we can regard as shares. So if there is an expectation that the prices of the shares will rise, what we do is we try to buy more of those shares of those companies. So because to earn higher dividend or higher profit. So this is one of the reason or one of the examples you can say for this exception to the law of demand, that with the increase in price, there is also an increase in demand for these goods. So these are the exceptions to the law of demand. It creates a direct relationship between the quantity and price. Means with increase in price, there is increase in quantity demand. With decrease in price, there is a decrease in quantity demand. Let's move to the next slide. The other effect is your demonstration effect. Demonstration effect is when we try to imitate or when we try to copy the consumption patterns or the things or the commodities which are usually consumed by the popular film stars or the sports personalities, which are not easily available or which are not very cheaply available in the market. So when we tend to buy or we follow the consumption patterns or we copy the consumption patterns of this class of people, this actually what happens is, even if the price of those commodities are available at a higher price, there is still a demand for the commodity in the market. So this actually creates a demonstration effect where we imitate people of a section of society and copy their consumption patterns. So this is a demonstration effect. Here also we see that even if the price is higher, the demand for such goods continues to increase. Next is your emergency. In case of emergencies, we see there is usually a panic in the society where there is insecurity or there is a fear of shortage of necessary items that will be available in the market. Usually these are food items or any consumable items which are necessary for survival during emergency situation. So people usually tend to hoard the stock or hoard the food grains that is necessary for sustaining life. So what happens is the shopkeepers usually during this period of time, seeing the demand for such items, they usually try to increase and sell the items at a higher price. Now this does not create, though the consumers are aware that these are being sold at a higher price, they continue to purchase those items because they knew that in the near future those goods, there might be a shortage for those goods. So in this kind of situations, we see that even if the price of the particular commodity is higher or it has been increased, we continue to buy those commodities, and there is a created demand for those particular goods. So in the case of emergencies also, we see that the law of demand does not stand. Here also we see that the increase in the price, there is a continuous increase in the demand for the goods. Now all the cases that we've discussed earlier, we see that there is a upward shift or there is a positive relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Like with the increase in price, there has been an increase in the quantity demanded of those goods. Like for example, if you see here, when the price is 10, the quantity demand for a certain item is 30, and when is 3. When the price is 20, the quantity demand for that particular item is 4. So we see there is a continuous increase, though the demand curve is shifting towards the right, but it is an upward slope, unlike in case of the law of demand. So law of demand, it is actually downward sloping and it moves towards the negative side, but we see here it is creating a positive relationship. So these are the exceptions of the law of demand. Next topic we'll be discussing about the shift in the demand curve and price elasticity of demand. The various cases where we'll actually read about the movement of the demand curve towards the contraction or expansion. So this is all we have it for today. We'll continue in the next portion. Thank you.